For those of you at home, we'll open up the phone lines now in case you have any questions for the panel, specifically for preparing for an interview. Just to remind you, we have Patrick Mutisya, who is a talent coach and also a senior management consultant, and would be very well versed with what human resource departments look for. We have Bbanga, who is an image and communication consultant. Derek, how important is dress code? How we dress for an interview?
The visual is everything. Michael, I have statistics which have been proven over time that over half of our judging people subconsciously actually comes on what we see with the visual. So I would say for an interview is not the time to dress like how I'm dressed today. This would be the wrong outfit to wear if I was interviewing, say, for the majority of white-collar jobs. You want to be,
but you're smart. You're looking very good.
Well, thank you. You're right. You're very kind, Michael. However, there's too much going on here. You certainly want to be understated in terms of accessories. The focus should not be necessarily on what you're wearing. The focus should be on some of the important things you're saying to get the job. So I would say, number one, be as conservative as you can be, depending on the position. Listen,
but still smart.
But still smart. So I also advocate dressing up as opposed to dressing down, even for jobs that perhaps don't require you to dress up. So for example, it might be a job in, say, IT or something like that, for example, or even a creative job. So as a gentleman, you might perhaps want to put on a jacket, not necessarily the tie. For ladies, you might want to put on a pair of heels. You want to show these people that A, you want the job. And showing people that you want the job goes to dressing up. We dress up when we go to weddings or we go to church sometimes these days. So you just want to show that person that this is really important to them. And dressing up signifies that. Not necessarily that that job would entail you dressing up. And number two, conservative dressing leads to less distraction. There's less distraction if you don't have too many stripes or too many accessories going on, or you're dressed in some outlandish footwear, or you have a hairstyle that is too much, or you have makeup that's really garish. So it's about being smart, it's about being conservative, it's perhaps dressing in darker colors so that people still think that you are smart, but rather than focusing on the outfit, they're focusing more on some of the other skills that you have.
Okay. How does one ensure that you don't go beyond borderline? And I say this, let's start with the gentleman. You might find a gentleman who feels, possibly, for instance, his hairstyle. He's more comfortable when it's all over the place. But we're living in a society that may judge you just by the fact that you've walked through the door. They've not had anything you've said, but just the fact that you look a certain way makes them already create a judgment. But now, looking at conservative, maybe that's just not me. Maybe as an individual, I love my hair all over the place.
Okay, so Patrick mentioned authenticity. I don't want you to lose your authenticity. If your authenticity is in that particular hairstyle as a gentleman, and you're applying for a job at a bank or an insurance firm or a law firm, you have got to have done your homework and know that, you know, those are industries that, to the most part, certainly for most organizations that I'm familiar with, they are, to use your words, conservative. So is that hairstyle going to take away from my chances of getting that job? It's simple. You can start the race on the line with everybody else, or you can start a few meters back and then have to work that hard. That hairstyle, no matter how authentic it is to you, no matter how it's expressing your individual or style personality, you might reach somebody who's, like I said, super conservative, who doesn't believe in that hairstyle, and there's no way, no matter how qualified you are, that you are now going to be able to get the job. And you just simply have to work that much harder. So I always tell people, do your homework, find out what is required in terms of grooming, in terms of dress code, dress appropriately, and show up for that interview. This is not the time for you to say, this is how I am, Indio style yangu. No, it's the style for that organization. Once you get the job, then
you can work your way out.
You know.
Okay, for the ladies, how long should your skirt be?
Again, if you're wearing things that are too short, too sheer, too revealing, again, that's going to be distracting. So the skirt has got to be an appropriate length if you're wearing a skirt or a dress. Trousers, for example, can take away that. I said heels. I always say that because heels make you seem taller. They elongate your body. They give you better body language. When you walk in through that door, you actually have more of a presence. But again, with the ladies, conservative. Cover up. This is not the time to show off your assets, no matter how much God blessed you. This is the time for you to get the job. Yes.
Okay, Patrick.
And a little bit of makeup. Let me just talk about it. Just a little bit of makeup. And again, this might cause some controversy. A little bit of makeup just to show that you care about your appearance. Not so much that it is overwhelming, but just a little to, again, enhance your lips, which is where we focus on when we're speaking, make your eyes pop out, which is eye contact. Some of these things do have a positive
an effect.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick, do you agree that dress code is quite important here?
Very important. And I'll address it from the levels of three things. One, as he said, the level of the interview. It matters a lot. Number
By
two,
level, you mean the kind of job
there
that
is
you're
a
coming up to
entry level, middle level, and a high senior level. That matters a lot because it also depends on the kind of panelists you will be meeting at each particular level. There is a entry level, for example, the young people and all that. We expect the hairstyle and all that kind of thing, the revealing, the top, the revealing chest,
cleavage.
yeah, the
Yes.
cleavage and all that kind of thing. Remember, just look at a candidate meeting the board of certain company, the old wazes and the ladies. And then the
Cleavage is-
the village is out, and they're like,
assets are
so
popping.
as they score you, they just are.
They're almost feeling embarrassed to look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
you.
the roll scores, yeah.
I tell you that is an off, automatic off.
Okay.
The other one is
Let me stop you and take a call from Njoroge. Njoroge from Kiambu, what's your question or your comment?
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yes, sir.
I'm a strong believer in character.
Sorry?
I'm a strong believer in character.
In style?
Character.
Oh, in color. Oh, in color. Okay. Uh-huh.
Character. So the character of a person to me means a lot. Now my question is, when you have an interview and you've the HR has gone through the entire process of calling people for interviews, and now they are picking the person for their company, and they finally make a decision. Are there situations where they regret their decisions, or they are always successful in picking the right person, especially when it comes to character? Do they only look at the skills at the beginning through the interview, and when they are picking someone, they look at the papers and the skills and capabilities, and then probably when you finally employ the person, you regret because of his character? Because there are people who listen to people who train them for interviews, and they prepare, and they are ready, they are experts in passing interviews.
Okay.
But later on you discover that person, character-wise, is a liability to the company.
All right.
So what happens in such situations? Are there times that people actually regret having picked a certain person, even if they've gone through all that process?
Okay, thank you, Njoroge. I think we've got the gist of the question, and this would probably be for you, Patrick.
Yeah.
In cases where possibly an organization has picked somebody, but maybe their CV and their interview do not match who they really are.
Yeah, there are such cases, but as talent specialists, we are very careful in terms of that. And that's why we have various assessment methodologies of the candidates in terms of character. For example, you have had a case where you are told come for the interview, and even in interview for a coffee, for a dinner, and come with your spouse or that kind of matter. Or you are told before this offer, please, we have send you to a visibility study in this particular company, this region, and all that, then come. There are lessons, there are things being done behind the scene. For example, for check on character, if I tell you we shall have a dinner at 7 or 7, for example, and we tell you, please, if you have a spouse, just let him or her accompany you for this. We want to find out, because you find all sorts of foods and all drinks and all that kind of, you find them there. And we want to find out in terms, because during the discussion, during the dinner, you find the topical issues are just given out randomly. And we need to find out how do you participate in this. How do you understand what is happening around you? Then there are some drinks, and we need to find out how you react, how you take up your whatever. When you, for example, if it's wine or alcohol, how you react once you are up there. It might, because you are careful, you are the target here. You might be so restricted. You might find yourself very, 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 very much restrictive. But what about your spouse? Because it can tell us what happens by implication.
Okay, let me come to you, Derek, and he's brought in an interesting angle where you have, especially particularly the senior high-level jobs where they may even just take you out for dinner, but really it is still part of an interview, as it were, because they want to assess.
In fact, I'm glad you've asked me that, because I recently worked with somebody who was going for a very senior level position at a well-known consulting firm, and I was working with them in terms of preparation. Now, this is somebody who's been in the workforce for 15 years plus. But some of the areas this particular candidate fell short were, for example, equipping himself with the tools at a cocktail situation or a dinner situation, which was part of the interview process. He had to meet the managing partners of that firm who had flown in from outside of the country at a dinner. And trust me, he did not have the tools to succeed. So for those senior positions, you've got to be able to have those skills, soft skills, social skills at your disposal. What topics to bring up, for example, when you are with people who are peers, for example, what is appropriate? Do I talk about football? Am I allowed to bring politics up, for example? Now, I brought those two up because in my mind, those are no-nos. You know, how do you hold a wine glass? Some of those things. These are the things that they're looking for, because at that level, you're going to be interacting with people who are at a very senior level. And if you're going to represent the firm and not be able to represent the firm properly, then the chances of you actually getting that position are going to be diminished. So again, sometimes people don't know what they don't know, but they do have to be able to make sure that they are not caught unawares, for example, in a situation like that. And many interviews at a senior level are done in that sort of a setting. Maybe it's a dinner, maybe it's a cocktail, maybe you bring your spouse over. They want to see how you interact. Now, I want you to be authentic, because very often you'll say to yourself, okay, we're on show here and we're not going to act. I want you to be yourself, but I also want you to know that you're on show.
You're on show. So be authentic. Let's take a call from Danson Letai in Laikipia. Danson, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I have a question for Derek.
Okay.
How to beat nervousness during when you're preparing for an interview?
All right. Thank you, Danson. Straightforward, how to beat nervousness, because I think it's a natural.
Of course it is.
It's a natural thing.
You're there, you're anxious, you want the job, there's 5 people who are throwing questions at you. It's very easy for me to say, don't be nervous. That is going to be. What I like to say is that it's about taking that nervousness, which is really adrenaline, nervous energy, converting it into positive energy so that it actually helps you with the performance. Don't fight the nervousness too much. Try to bring it down to what is called a manageable level, where it doesn't paralyze you, so it doesn't freeze you. You don't forget the questions or forget the answers to the questions of what you have prepared. You're not going to eliminate nervousness completely. And when people tell you do all sorts of funny exercises and things like that, that's not going to work. Breathing helps. That one is for sure. Thinking positive thoughts, preparation helps. All of these things can help to reduce the nervousness.
Okay, there's a question here from Peter Ndirango. I will come to he says, what type of CV format do employers in Kenya mostly respond to?
The format in Kenya is totally different from the format from other developed world, because I've had experience with the two types. But the Kenya scenario is the personal information come to the work experience, and then papers and academic professional at the end. That's the basic format. Is
less more? The less information you put there, does it give more, or do you have to cram up everything there? After all, it's the only opportunity that you have to
put the most important information in that particular CV, because you are guided by the JD or the press ad, which was on the paper. Okay, so put the most important things in that particular CV, because the moment you start putting all the best, remember somebody, a senior level manager, and they start telling us filing of documents. We start looking at it, this is just a simplistic kind of a person, and they'll just put me off. I'll expect that from a junior level kind of a candidate. Yeah.
All right, Derek, now that we're still concentrating on body language, as you're walking into the interview room, sometimes even the way you walk may say a lot. Are there certain walking styles that possibly one should avoid?
Walking styles? Well, I mean, I think it's just a question of maintaining that level of, I go back to that, testosterone and cortisol. Increasing testosterone, driving down cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And you can do that by pulling your shoulders back, keeping your head upright, and walking with a natural stride. If you have long legs, God bless you, your stride is going to be longer. But a lot of times walking into that room, we're nervous, our shoulders are bent over, maybe we're shuffling because we're nervous. Just maintain your composure. Walk a little slower than normal, if I can say that. And all in all, just be cognizant of the fact that your body language does have a huge effect on your performance. And actually related to that question about nervousness. So again, maintaining this sort of open body language, for example, the way that I'm sitting here for interviews, the way both of us are sitting, we're not actually folded in the couch like this and crouched over. That also helps to
keep your testosterone up.
And drive down the nerves and the nervousness.
Okay.
Yes.
As we wind up, Patrick, if I'm preparing for an interview, what are the key things you would say I need to have in place?
One of the things is that you need to have a copy of what we had sent to that particular organization in terms of the full CV, the full cover letter, and the attachments which were already there. Because sometimes there are people who are malicious, and somebody might snatch a paper and then tell you, we expected to have this and we can't get it. Somebody's not hold it,
So just have a copy.
have a copy and say, this is what I had sent at that. Number two, have a the documents in place. Those are the certificates and all that's which had been requested for. Have them and in a folder, not the usual Air Force brown paper envelope.
Yes.
That is a total off. Especially for senior guys.
So invest in a folder rather than coming with a...
and then have them arranged in a logical order, like the masters, for example, degree and that in that particular order, such that once I request you give me that copies, you don't have start looking at where is this, where is it. Sometimes you find some.
So generally you have your things arranged. Derek, as we wind up, last thing, rule of thumb.
I would say the 3 C's: confidence, credibility, charisma. Confidence, you can get that through body language, how you use your voice. Credibility means that you're dressed appropriately. That actually looks like you deserve the job. And charisma means your authentic, natural, charming self.
Thank you very much.